Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2023 season preview of the Chicago Bears, right here on BLEAV in Bears with Joey Christopoulos and Corey Wootton. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming into the show, listening to us audio only, whether it is SiriusXM, wherever you get your podcasts, checking us out on YouTube right here with our presenting video sponsor, Sports Talk Chicago. Thanks so much for hopping in. I'm Joey Christopoulos. Let's bring in our co-host and do a season preview for the 2023 Chicago Bears. He is none other than West End Golf Course's very own, Fox 32's very own, doing those promos. Get ready for those Bruin Views, Chicago. CHGO breaking it down every single week, and right here on BLEAV in Bears, it's former Bears defensive end Corey Wootton. What's up, Corey?
Hey, what's going on, Joey? College football is this weekend, which is nice. Couple games last week, but the NFL is 2 weeks away, which is going to be awesome. So really looking forward to that. Love college football, but NFL, I love that even that much more, and especially the Bears this season. Huge season for them. Justin Fields, this offense really trying to show what they can do. Now they got the weapons. The offensive line has been solidified. I know there's an injury with Tevin Jenkins that we're going to get into, but I think it's going to be a big season in growth on both sides of the football, but very excited to see offensively.
So much to dive into right here on this episode. We're going to get into X factors, guys, that we like, don't like, concerns, win total predictions at the very end. But Corey, let's start it off with it. Something that you just mentioned right here. We're recording this the day after they just released their 53-man roster that's going to head into week one. A lot of news and notes, couple surprises here. So Corey, man, what's jumping out to you right now? Good or bad right now with the Chicago Bears roster?
Yeah, I think one that probably you could have saw either way, right? Travis Gibson, rather, right? He's somebody that really flashed towards the end of training camp, the last two games, really put on a clinic pass rush wise. I just think they were a little fed up with him, right? He supposedly requested a trade as well.
He asked for permission to seek out a trade.
Okay.
So I don't know. Is that lingo? Is that lingo to protect him from other NFL teams to make sure that he didn't ask out?
Potentially, but I think he said he wants to get traded. So I think, he flashed a little too late. And I think after last year, they were expecting him to make the next big step and that jump as a defensive end, and we just didn't see it. So I think they felt pretty good, especially with Terrell Lewis, the way he played this training camp. I mean, obviously, like he flashed. Like obviously, we didn't see much of Yannick at all during training camp. Too much. He was trying to figure out the system, get back up to speed and whatnot. So Terrell Lewis really flashed. Dom Robb, he's improving. In his second year now. So I feel like they felt comfortable letting him go, especially with Green as well coming into his own, having some really good practices during the preseason.
Gibson was definitely a bit of a surprise. Obviously comes from the 3-4 style that they had played with the previous regime. So I guess I can wrap my head around that. But yeah, Corey, for a team that struggled so mightily on the defensive line last year, and a guy that you liked a whole lot last year, they thought he had big time potential and then had a pretty decent training camp, to see him get let go was an interesting move. But obviously the coaching staff feels like the guys that they brought in hopefully is going to be enough to make some pressure and stop the run this year for the Bears. Also, the Bears went out and picked up punt returner Trent Taylor today off of waivers. Corey, your reaction on that one, 9.7 yards per punt return last year. How do you think that works into the mix, special teams wise, wide receiver wise? Because now you got an interesting situation of who exactly is going to be active and inactive week one. I mean, we know DJ Moore, we know Chase Claypool, we know Darnell Mooney. And then after that, you've got Taylor, you've got Velus Jones, you've got St. Brown, you've got Tyler Scott. What do you think of the move, and how do you think that factors into week one?
Well, I think they were banking on Pettis coming back to handle some of those return duties. He's on IR, so obviously that's why that move is there. And I don't know how comfortable they feel with Velus Jones. So that's what it's kind of hinting. It would be interesting to see. Obviously, now during the season, we're not going to try him out, but Tyler Scott in the future to potentially be a punt returner, because he's an absolute burner in there. But I think it's just to add something else in the arsenal for punt return. That's why that move is there. And then getting back to the offensive side of the ball, Alex Leatherwood, right? He's somebody that I really thought improved this offseason and really had a strong training camp. I think it came down to dollars, right? And essentially they traded for Dan Feeney. So I think that's kind of what it was there. And it's going to be interesting how week one, how this offensive line is going to shake out, right? Whether they're going to move Whitehair to guard, Patrick to center. if Tevin Jenkins can't go, kind of how they'll shuffle things. But I think that might be the order of things if Tevin Jenkins can't go.
Yeah, that's what's curious. So Tevin Jenkins, just really quick, it just came down, breaking news, Corey, that Tevin Jenkins was placed on IR today. So he's officially going to miss the first 4 games minimum to start off the season. So obviously, I think the moves that you're just talking about, that makes a lot of sense, right? And Corey, is it fair to say, I don't know a lot about Feeney, but I just know that he has starting experience and reps at guard, at center, more of that flexibility maybe that they need or looking for. I don't think Leatherwood's ever played a snap at center. So maybe that was the move that they had to make.
Yeah.
And it's been an interesting camp too, Corey, because they've had to eat a lot of money, right? They're eating Leatherwood's money. They're eating PJ Walker's money, Gibson's money. I mean, these are all decisions that are football oriented, maybe not checkbook oriented.
But I like Poles that he is willing to do that, right? You have to have the best man on the field, right? Regardless of contract and that somebody's not performing the way they should. That's what you have to do. So you got to trim the fat in a sense, and I'm glad he did that. And some teams will go with whoever they paid the most money to because they feel like they have to. So Badgett, outperformed them. So that's what you got to do at that point.
Let's dive into our season preview, Corey, and let's just start with, I think, the topic that's on every Bears fan mind right now is that how much do you take or how much do you leave from the preseason? I think it's very fair to say that it's been an up and down preseason. The reports out of camp seem to be the same reports that come out of camp every year, good days, bad days, up and down. Where are you landing right now, not just with the talent and the depth on this roster right now, but just what you've seen through the preseason, and just talk a little bit about how much that matters and factors into a preparation, which we now 2 weeks for the Green Bay Packers week 1.
Yeah, I think the preseason, especially the games, sometimes you take with a grain of salt. I think especially for the guys that have established themselves, their main focus is to get through the preseason healthy. So that's the biggest thing. The thing I've liked, what I've seen from Justin Fields in practices and, what everyone's been reporting is the confidence, right? His ability to make different reads. And now he actually has a number 1 receiver, which is awesome, right? And everyone thinks that you have to make every perfect throw and this, that, and the other. And I always make this comparison with Jalen Hurts, right? From last year or the year before to last year, right? The main difference, they went out and got A.J. Brown, right? He's the guy that can go up and get it, make them right. You throw it up, those 50-50 balls, he's going to make you right. And DJ Moore is that same thing. So you see the progression with Jalen Hurts. He really improved last year. And I think A.J. Brown was a big reason for that. And not only that, not taking anything away from Jalen Hurts, right? Every year in a scheme, you get more comfortable, and then they add weapons. So Chicago is kind of having that philosophy like Philly. Okay, let's solidify this offensive line, right? We got Darnell Wright. We got Nate Davis, right? Feel good about Tevin Jenkins. Feel good about Braxton Jones. And Cody Whitehair at center. We feel good about that. So the weapons are there. The offensive line is there. I know Tevin Jenkins is hurt right now, but kind of that philosophy to help your quarterback grow, they're putting all the pieces in the puzzle to make Justin Fields successful. So I love what they've been able to do. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do this year, because this is a huge year for him, right? Bears got 2 first-rounders next year. They have to know everything from Justin Fields. And at this point, I think he's going to have a great year, right? I think he will establish himself as a top 10 quarterback. And there's still a lot of people that hate on him and say he can only run and all this. But I think this year, the offensive line will be vastly improved from last year. So I think he'll have time. I think another year in this system with Luke Getsy, and now you have a dog at number 1 receiver. You got a running back in Roshan Johnson, Khalil Herbert. You got that thunder and lightning right there. The red zone, Cole Kmet, Robert Tonyan, Tyler Scott's the burner, Claypool, the pressure's off him, and Darnell Mooney as well. So I think this is going to be a vastly improved team offensively. And I think people are thinking, oh, he's going to run the football. But I think there's going to be some runs in there sprinkled.
He's great at it.
But I think the down in the field passing, that's where he's really going to make his mark this year. And it's going to get set up by the run game, right? Because that threat of him being able to scramble is really going to elevate his game, because people are going to be so worried. And as a former defensive end, anytime you have a guy that can run like that, I played against Michael Vick, right? He puts fear everything you're thinking of, spy guy, we have to keep contained. It changes your rush. So talented rushers out there, they can't rush the same way. and then all of a sudden he's going to roll out there and then drop a bomb down the field. So I think it's really going to improve this year for him. And like I said, I look for him to be a top 10 quarterback. And some people still doubt that, but I really do. I love what I've seen from him. I think he's grown as a leader. And I think the NFL as a whole is going to be surprised when he's not running as much.
Yeah, when we talk about the Chicago Bears, it starts and ends with Justin Fields, right? And this is the conversation that we're having right now. So let's go a little bit further. Corey, my biggest fear this season isn't Justin Fields being bad. My fear is that I don't think Justin Fields is going to be bad. I think there's a possibility that Justin Fields can be great. I think my biggest fear is that middle area, Corey. That middle area that when we play 17 games at the end of the year, me and you are going to have conversation after conversation of, well, he looked good here, and did he play well here, and this, that, and the other, and we won't have a decision on him. There's a middle gray area here. There isn't just an up and down switch of whether we make Justin Fields our franchise quarterback. So is there something specific in your mind? You started to touch on it a little bit, but like, what is that feeling, and what does that look like that Justin Fields can do this season that solidifies himself as the franchise quarterback, not just this year, but for the next 5 or 6 years? Is it winning football games specifically? Is it situations in the game? What is it for you that I think is going to really kind of put the nail in the coffin that Justin Fields is the guy?
Well, I think a few things, right? Winning, it definitely adds to the resume of a quarterback, right? Every great quarterback wins games, right? And last year they only won 3 games. That's not all on him. I know people are going to say, "Well, he's your quarterback, and he's responsible for it." The quarterback always gets blamed. That's the blame game when it comes down to it. So obviously, if he improves the win total, right, that is going to be huge. And then the down the field passing. That's going to be the next step, right? We saw what he could do as a playmaker, what he can do with his feet, how he can extend plays, how he can run like a running back out there. But the big criticism on him, he's just Lamar Jackson, right? He's a guy that can just run when you need the ball, pass down the field. You can't rely on him. And I think that's the key thing that he has to do this year. Really be able to, and it's not just the deep passes, right? It's being efficient, right? Taking what the defense gives you sometimes, not trying to force things, because last year we saw certain times, right, where he was trying to make a play. He tried to fit it in a tight window or have a throw that he shouldn't, right? Let the game come to you, right? Take what the defense is giving you. And yeah, sometimes with a guy like DJ Moore, you throw it and he's going to get it, right? Those are those 50-50 balls. But when it's not there, take what the defense is giving you. Tuck it down and scramble, right? Get out of bounds. And the key thing, right? If he does run this year, do not take hits. Because what I saw last year is sometimes he took some very unnecessary hits. And it reminded me a lot of Cam Newton early on in his career. He was like, I'm so big, I can take these hits. And Justin Fields is a put-together dude. He's 6'3", 6'4", about 240, 245 pounds. He's put together, but you do not want to take hits for your franchise quarterback, because we saw certain games where he was, hobbling along. He looked banged up. So just be smart in that regard, right? Tuck it and go, get out of bounds. Do not take these unnecessary hits, and just take what the defense gives you this year.
Yeah, we keep going back to it, but you just mentioned it. You said Cam Newton, and I think that Justin Fields' style of play, I think it's where it confuses Bears fans, and it confuses general NFL fans, because we're all so obsessed with stats right now, efficiency, completion percentage. And from what I remember with Cam Newton was, he'd miss a throw here and there, but he'd also hit a 60-yard dime to Steve Smith. When the chips were down and they needed a drive and they got points, Cam Newton went out and got those points. So I think that it's going to be more of a reading between the lines with Justin Fields this year. And Corey, I was having this conversation the other day, and I'm wondering if you agree, but a lot of people aspire to do this for a living, do it for a living. A lot of people crunch the numbers. A lot of people look at the film. A lot of people do this, that projection. We now have these projection models that now say whether you're going to win games or whether you're going to lose games this year. The one thing, though, that we can all agree on is that Justin Fields last year, 4 to 6 times a game, did things that were so unscripted, that were so unpredictable, that you could not put into any, AI, computer model, generator, whatever you want to call it. And he did things that completely changed complexions of games and changed the way the defenses thought about him moving forward. And I think that that's the skill. And I think that's the hardest thing for Bears fans and other people to wrap their heads around about the ceiling of Justin Fields is we can't equate that, Corey. We can't put that
Exactly.
into a computer and say 3.2 times a game he's going to run for 65 yards and make 8 guys miss on the way to doing it, right?
Yep.
And I think that there's going to be something about that. And for me with Justin Fields, if he is lethal in the red zone, if he gives us those I don't want to say magical, but if he gives us those God-given, athletic, amazing plays where he's making decisions with the football, whether it is passing or whether it is running, and then in the end, Corey, again, I think if he leads us to a couple of victories that we don't deserve, or puts that moment where the quarterback puts us on our shoulders a little bit and leads us to victory, those are the type of things that I think that are going to easily check the box for Justin Fields, more than whether he passes for over 60% completion percentage this year.
Exactly. I compare this a lot to Jalen Hurts, right? This 2021 season, right? You look at it, it was okay. 3,000 yards passing, 16 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 87 QB rating. And then Justin Fields last year, right? 2,200 yards passing, 17 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and 85 rating. So they're very similar in regard. And Jalen Hurts had a way better offensive line that 21 season, basically the same offensive line as last year, right? So I'm just thinking from this, right? The natural progression of getting better as a quarterback. Justin Fields can only go up from here. The offensive line is greatly improved, right? You have weapons offensively. You got a 1-2 punch at the running back position, which you can make an argument.
Maybe 1, 2, 3. Maybe 1, 2, 3, Corey.
Exactly. Yeah. And people talking about, David Montgomery in the pass protection game. Roschon Johnson looked great all preseason and training camp in pass production. He is a beast at that. So I think people were worried about getting rid of David Montgomery. And I think Roschon Johnson, he hasn't even scratched the surface of what he can be. He was sitting behind the best running back prospect to come out and probably since Zeke Elliott? Probably.
Saquon, but I mean, throw any name in the hat.
Saquon,
he belongs in that
Elliott.
photo. Yeah, for
exactly. So I think this year, when I'm just looking at it from Justin Fields is a better runner than Jalen Hurts, right? I don't think we can dispute that, right? Justin Fields has a better arm, right? I think we can all agree with that. A stronger arm. The thing is the accuracy, right? Which I think he improved in preseason, right? During the games, he didn't play as much as we would have liked. But the thing is, I think where he's really going to make his mark is being more efficient this year, right? So that's what I'm looking forward to, especially with the offensive line being with the weapons and the running game. So you're going to rely on that running game, get things going, smash mouth football, work the play action, work the sprint outs, work the boots off it, and allow him to use his feet when he can, but rely on his arm. So I'm looking forward to that. So I think it's going to be vastly improved. And, people were saying over under, 3,000 yards. I think he'll be over that for sure. He missed games last year and he was at 2,200 yards. And early on, they started out the first 5 weeks where the passing stats were.
Didn't throw it at all.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think he was averaging like 122 yards through the first couple weeks. It was
12 attempts through the first 4 weeks, Corey. It's unheard.
Exactly. So they're going to air out the ball more, especially with all the weapons there. So I think he'll definitely go over 3,000 yards. I wouldn't be surprised if he's closer to 4,000 for sure. Yeah. But the main thing is being efficient. Jalen Hurts, you look at his stats, that doesn't scream MVP, does it? 3,700 yards passing, 22 touchdowns,
22 passing touchdowns. When I was looking it up, because we got fantasy drafts coming up this weekend, Corey, I was a little surprised, right? And you start looking into it, but then you look over and you go, okay, he had 13 rushing touchdowns, and they got so good at executing in the red zone. And I just think for Justin Fields, that kind of weapon, with the legs, the body, the arm, the physicality, all of that, when you get within 15 yards, there's no reason why we shouldn't score a touchdown. Oh, yeah. Not every single time, but you understand what I'm saying. Raise that level of efficiency in the red zone. Make Justin Fields a threat that no defense can honestly figure out, whether he's going left, right, passing the ball, whatever it is. And I think all of a sudden those numbers are going to start to take care of itself. And that's that's where I land on that one.
Yeah, the red zone offense is going to be greatly improved this year. You look at Cole Kmet, he really came into his own the last couple of games. Tanyan has had great experience in the red zone, catching the football as well. DJ Moore is going to be able to go up and get it. Claypool did that all preseason. So think about this too, especially if you get Justin Fields on a boot one-on-one on a defensive end. Good luck, Chuck. I mean, he's beating him at the pylon every time. I mean, Justin Fields can flat out run. So I'm putting him one-on-one on that defensive end or linebacker, whatever you may have. And I'm going to say him versus him, whether he has the option to pass or run. Hey, you put that guy in a bind every time. And I look for him to go similar numbers to Jalen Hurts, if not better. I really do. I think Justin Fields, and this is no knock on Jalen Hurts by any means. And people, I think Jalen Hurts is a great quarterback. I think he's a great person. I think what he's been able to do in Philly is awesome. But I think when it comes to pure talent, and I'm not saying Justin Fields is better than Jalen Hurts now or anything like that. But I'm saying Justin Fields has the potential to be better than Jalen Hurts. And I think anyone that watches football and understands what Justin Fields really has and that he hasn't scratched the surface of what he can be realizes that is a fact, that Justin Fields, I mean, the sky is the limit for this guy. If he can really improve this year and build his confidence up, I honestly think when it's all said and done, he could be in a couple years challenging for that top 5 quarterback position. But this year, honestly, it is a make or break year for Justin Fields, right? I think this will tell a lot about the trajectory of his career.
Trajectory of his career, trajectory of the Bears franchise. I mean, honestly, for a 3-14 team that's coming off a season like that, there is a lot on the line, Bears fans, and luckily they have the 9th easiest schedule, so they will have a little bit of a leg up there. We're doing a season preview right here on BLEAV in Bears with former Bears defensive end Corey Wootton. Let's go to the other side of the ball, Corey. Let's go to Corey's corner, if you will. Talk a little defense for a second. Because, again, Corey, look, man, I think this is still the biggest concern that I have on the team right now. I know that we're going to talk about it, and I want to get your take on it because just from my perspective, the defensive line still scares me a little bit. It was so bad last year that honestly, I understand that you're bringing in a couple of rookies that still need to learn, bring in a couple of veterans that are going to be taking on bigger roles. We've seen that story play out in Chicago before. El Kadim Muhammad didn't really work out. And then you're bringing in a guy like Yannick Ngakoue, who hopefully is going to get after the quarterback. So, Corey, man, that's still my biggest concern right now, that defensive line stopping the run, getting after the quarterback. What is your biggest concern right now on this team, and is it on the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, I think defensively, it doesn't come down to the running game because I feel like they'll be a lot better. They'll be a lot better in the run game. And they got Andrew Billings. I mean, he's absolute force in there, especially in up the middle. Justin Jones, I really liked what he did last year. He looks like he's going to project to be the starting 3 technique. I think the younger guys, Pickens and Dexter, I don't think they're quite ready. Pickens above Dexter for sure. He really flashed in the preseason. But I think that's going to kind of be the 1-2 punch, the Billings and Justin Jones. And then a defensive end position, DeMarcus Walker, I like him at the left end, right? I think he's strong. He plays the run well. He's going to kick in on pass rush situations at the 3 technique. Billings will move away. And then Yannick, the thing is, people really critique his run game, right? That's one thing they say, oh, he's absent in the run game. He's a great pass rusher. But in this scheme, the only thing is you have to get off the football. And with your get off, that will set the edge for the run. You don't have to be the strongest guy in the world. And I've talked about this multiple times. Simeon Rice played this Tampa too. And he's a guy that's 6'5". They listed him at 260. He's about 240 pounds when he played. And he's over there, strong arming Jonathan Ogden. Why? Because of his get up off the field, right? He gets off the football, penetrates up the field, and that penetration stuffs the run. Jonathan Ogden versus Simeon Rice in a straight up, you read and react defense. Oh, he's pancaking him down the field 40 yards. But the get off is what allows you to set the edge. And I think that's what they're going to strive for with Yannick. So I feel really good about the rushing defense, right? My only thing is the pass rush. I think it's better than we thought, right? Because I think Yannick will be able to produce on that right side. Now it's like Terrell Lewis, if he can really make his hay in the pass rush situations on that left side, I feel pretty good about that situation right there. And then Justin Jones and maybe Zach Pickens or Walker, kind of that combo inside rotation. I feel pretty good about it. And I guarantee they'll dial up some blitz packages as well, from anywhere from the secondary to the talented linebacking core. So if anything, the pass rush is my main concern. I think the running game rush defense will be a lot better. So it just comes down to the pass rush. But if you can stop the run, you can figure out ways how to pressure the passer, whether it's by blitz.
Yeah, and I'm just going to get out here and I'm going to say this now, and I think I'm going to say it on a show coming up a little bit later on Sports Talk Chicago. I'm doing with John Zaghloul. Is like, can I just like put something to sleep right now, Bears fans? All right, I'm getting in the mind of Bears fans if something goes wrong in a couple of weeks, week 7, week 8. This is the conversation I don't want to have. We got to get rid of Alan Williams. It's Alan Williams' fault. Alan Williams, dude, I'm calling it right now. If things go south for the defense, we're going to try and blame it all on Alan Williams. And honestly, man, I want your perspective on that because in my opinion, if it goes wrong defensively, I think this goes back to players first because they got to be accountable, right? You talked all year long about gap discipline and how that was a problem last year. That's not a coaching problem. That was a gap discipline problem with the players. So players first, and then after that, go over the top. Eberflus's scheme, Ryan Poles, believing that they can pick and piece different depth parts and create something that's going to work on a consistently weekly basis. I'm just telling you, man, I'm calling it right now. If things go south of the defense, we're going to give Alan Williams a hard time. And I think he's going to be a scapegoat that I'm not even going to entertain because I think it's more than that. I mean, if the pieces are there, the system is there, the rotation is depth the way that they want it, this should work this year. It should.
Yeah, this should. I think the one key thing is, like I said, stopping the run. That's something that they failed to do the past couple of years. And that'll gut you as a defense, right? It puts pressure in the passing game. Teams can really work the play action because then you're worried about things. They run the ball down your throat. So I think if they can stop the run, that's the key to this defense. So that will be my only cause of concern to blame Alan Williams is if they have another year by solidifying Billings in there, getting Walker as a run defender, and the talented linebacking core, if they can't stop the run at that point, right? The pass rush, I'm going to be a little bit more, okay, let's see. I think they'll put up better numbers than we thought this year, but I think the rush defense has to be there. That's a non-negotiable. That's something that hasn't been there 2 years. So if they don't improve in that area, I think a lot of that will be on Alan Williams.
Incremental progress, right? Because they love bringing Jaquan Brisker down inside the box, maybe rush him on a couple of blitzes there. But again, you got to get a little bit better in that area. And I mean, that's just a part that's kind of worrying. It worries me. And when we talk about Justin Fields and his progression, if the defense can't get off the field, if you don't give your quarterback an opportunity to put up points, or if he's always chasing a deficit like he did consistently last year, you're going to make bad mistakes. You're going to have to push the ball down the field in areas when you don't. And when you talk about that patience, you talk about seeing it, orchestrating, controlling the field, that starts to worry me a little bit. You know what I mean? Corey, I want to do a quick over-under with you. We're going to do a lightning round over-under, and then we're going to do a win total. And then we're going to be back next week to preview Bears.
Before we get into that, just real quick about the defensive line. We are one offseason away from really solidifying this defensive line, right? So if Justin Fields has the year that we think he will, right? Quarterback position is straight. Like, we know what we have from him. He's our franchise 100%. Then you have those 2 first-round picks that you can address the defensive. I mean, some killers at the defensive line, whether that's 2 ends, whether it's the end of the 3 technique. And then all of a sudden that defense has got a lot better. And all of a sudden, all the other picks, the second round, are here. So I think they're one offseason, and then from the free agents as well. So they're one offseason away from really solidifying that defensive line, and then that defense gets a lot better.
And there's a guy named Nick Bosa possibly on the market next year, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to consider there. So, Corey, just a quick over-under. Just a simple yes and no. We're going to lightning round this just really quickly. The easy one, the first one, I think you already said it, over under 3,000 yards for Justin Fields.
Over.
Yannick Ngakoue, over under 9.5 sacks.
I'm going to say over.
DJ Moore, over under 1,050 yards receiving.
Over.
Cole Kmet, over under 7.5 touchdowns.
Over.
Woo!
Red zone. That red zone threat.
Who is going to lead the Bears in rushing yards? Not named Justin Fields. Not named Justin Fields. Trapdoor. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm Khalil Herbert.
Oh, interesting. I like that. Just the big play potential, possibly.
Exactly. I mean, he's the burner, yards per carry. I mean, look what he did last year and the year before.
And then last one, it's not an over-under, but before we do win total prediction, give us a player that no one is talking about right now that you think could either surprise or have a breakout season for the Chicago Bears.
I'm going to say two players, right? First comes to mind, Tyreek Stevenson, because I think he has a lot of big play potential, and people get on him a little bit about his, the risk reward at defensive back, right? You gambling to get that big play, but the ones that are really good do that, right? You have to gamble a little bit. But I love his physicality. I love his cover skills. He should have been a first round pick, in my opinion. It's just some of the off the field issues at Miami. So I look for him. People have been talking about him, but not as much. I think he's somebody that could have a breakout year, especially with Gordon and company. And I think he's somebody that can really have a great year this year and surprise a lot of people. And then offensively, I'm going to go with Roschon Johnson. I think he's going to be a guy people have talked about, but I think he's going to be that David Montgomery type, blocking, especially in pass protection. That's huge in there, catching the ball in the backfield, the breaking tackles, grinding them out, especially when we come down to red zone situations, being able to get that first down and 4th and inches, 4th and 1, 3rd and 1. So I think he's going to be somebody that I don't think he's going to put up crazy numbers, but I think he's going to do everything that you need to do that David Montgomery did.
Yeah, I think, with rookies, it takes a second, but I'm with you, man. By weeks like maybe 5 or 6, somewhere in there, it might be Roschon Johnson. The dude can catch the ball out of the backfield, too. And if the Bears want to start implementing a little bit more of that screen game, him and Herbert, one or the other, is going to be really nice. So, yeah, I mean, numbers-wise, nothing crazy. But if he gives us like 600 all-purpose yards and pops in 5 or 6 touchdowns, that is an element that we did not have last year on top of Deontay Foreman and Khalil Herbert. And it might make a lot of sense. So here we are, Corey. Oh, wait, you got anything else?
I got something for you.
Yeah.
Who is the Bears' number 2 receiver next year as far as yards? Who you got for that? Claypool, Mooney, Tyler Scott, Cole Kmet?
I was about to say. So Cole Kmet intrigues me on that one personally. Chase Claypool, let's be honest, I think what I wanted out of Chase Claypool is I want at least 5 games where we get Chase Claypool and we can feel good about it. Do I think he's going to be healthy and available every single week? I don't. I mean, just little nagging stuff over his career. The track record there isn't very helpful. In terms of targets, I could see games where maybe he only has 3 targets and like 12 yards. So I don't know if he's going to be a consistent force in that regard. Darnell Mooney's an interesting piece. I mean, he had a great relationship with Justin Fields. I don't know how he fits into all of this just yet right now at this moment. But man, I'm thinking about Cole Kmet. A healthy Cole Kmet in that play action game. When you look at his advanced metrics of what he's been able to do and how he's been able to get better at man situations, he wasn't very good at the beginning of his career, only thrived in zone, but when he got into man, he got a lot better. And in play action, that's exactly the kind of look that the Chicago Bears want to dial up. And I would not be shocked if over 1,000 yards for DJ Moore and somewhere in that 600, 700, maybe even 750 range for Cole Kmet being your number 2 lead receiver for the Chicago Bears.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, too, because they paid him the big contract, right? So obviously they're going to try to utilize his talents. He really improved. And I mean, a good tight end is a quarterback's best friend. I mean, you look at all the teams that are very successful. You look at Kansas City, got rid of Tyreek Hill last year. Everyone thought there's no chance they win it again. What does he do? He relies on Travis Kelce, who's putting up wide receiver numbers. I'm not saying Cole Kmet is going to be that guy. I think Cole Kmet, I think he's going to be like Kyle Rudolph in his prime, his Pro Bowl years. Like you said, anywhere from that 600 to 750, but he really makes his mark in the red zone and catching touchdowns. So it'll be around that 7 to 10 touchdown range, which would be huge, a huge asset for this team, especially because of how poorly they performed in the red zone. So yeah, Cole Kmet, they're definitely going to give him the rock, and especially with a lot of that play action, some of those seams, some of those outs, cross patterns, they're really going to utilize him.
And if that works out, I think the Chicago Bears offense is going to take a step forward this year, and I think it's going to help us win some football games. And speaking of, Corey, it is time for our 2023 Chicago Bears win total prediction. right here on Believe in Bears. Corey, what do you got, man? How many wins are the Bears going to win this year?
Man, you do it first, man. I'm nervous.
I'm nervous too, dude. I've gone back and forth on this one a lot. And I will say this. I'm probably going to, when you look at the schedule, and this is why I'm going to land on this number,
Yep.
there is no reason why the Chicago Bears should not win 9 games this year.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Anything less than 7, Corey, and I think we've got a real problem. And I'm not into the big blame pie thing. We'll do that some months down the road, whether it's Justin Fields, whether it's Eberflus, whatever that is. If we win less than 7 games, I'm going to be really disappointed, man, because when you look at this schedule and you say to yourself, the Chicago Bears did not win one single game against the NFC North last year. We're not going to do that 2 years in a row. So if you give me 2, maybe even 3 wins against the NFC North, and that's being modest, you look at the rest of the schedule with guys like the Falcons, Commanders, Raiders, Cardinals on the schedule. That's 4 right there, Corey. That gives you at least 6. It gets you to 6 or 7 with some toss-me-ups mixed in there. I'm going with 9 and 8, the Chicago Bears. Justin Fields is our guy. We're on our way. And moving into next year, as you mentioned, we spend big money, big draft capital, and we are ready to roll and be a playoff contender in 2024.
Nice. I like that. I'm going to one-up you, if you know what I'm saying. I'm going to go 10-7.
Double digit, man.
Yeah, because I think the offense is really what's going to be greatly improved. We're going to see Justin Fields ascend to what he needs to be as a franchise quarterback. Mm-hmm. And I just think all the pieces to the puzzle are there. I think defensively, they're going to improve in the rush defense, which is something struggle to do. You can't stop the run. You cannot win. Think about how many games they were in last year. And we can make an argument right now, just looking at the roster. There's a lot more talent on the roster this year than a year ago. You look at the Miami game, right? They had them down to the wire. There were so many different games where you're like, how are they even in this? They're taking these teams down to the wire that they had no business doing. So the improvement of the team, Justin Fields, another year in this system, the weapons, I'm going to say 10 wins, and I think they're going to surprise a lot of people. And it's going to be a fun season. It's all about the start, how they do on this first game. I think is going to set them. It's not the end all be all, but I think you look at Justin Fields and what he's trying to do and the criticism that he's faced. If he can start out with a hot game, and I'm not talking about 400 yards and all this, that would be nice. But I'm saying a very efficient game, 250 yards passing, efficient in there, 22 of 25, something like that, a couple rush yards mixed in, red zone, really being productive in that area. That would be huge for his confidence going forward into the season. And not more than half, I would say 80% of the NFL, college playing well, is in between the years, how confident you are. Because then all of a sudden you could play freely. You're not thinking. So if he can start out with a hot game and just be efficient, right? Don't have to do too much. Don't be the hero, but just lead this offense, be a leader, make smart decisions, play Green Bay, get that first dub. And then all of a sudden, I think there's a lot of pressure off him. And then all of a sudden he's able to play freely. So I think that's the key to getting Justin Fields to where he is starting out this first game for success, baby.
Well, come on back next week because we are going to preview that Bears-Packers matchup week 1. It all starts on the lakefront for hopefully a successful Chicago Bears season. And, man, if Justin Fields gets off to a great start, I think we got a lot to look forward to, especially over a 17-game season, and we'll see how that goes. We got to get out of here. This was Believe in Bears. I'm Joey Christopoulos. You can follow me at Joey Sports Guy. My fantastic co-host, as always, former Bears defensive end Corey Wootton. Follow him at Corey Wootton. 2 O's, 2 T's. Get it right, everybody. Come on, it's 2023 now, for crying out loud. Thank you so much for listening to us on SiriusXM or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for watching us on Sports Talk Chicago. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline.ag. 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit when you promo code BLEAV, BLEAV. Come on back next week. We got a great episode previewing Bears-Packers. We're going to be here all week, all season long, every week is what I meant to say. I'm in preseason form. Corey, what do you want from me? Anyways,
exactly.
Corey, take us home, man. Bear down. Yep. Be well, be safe. Please be good to each other. I'm excited for this season, man. Can't wait.
Exactly. Excited for this season. This is a huge point in the trajectory of the Bears as a franchise, the new regime, Poles and company, Eberflus, Justin Fields. There's a lot more talent this year. So looking forward to them utilizing that and being able to start fast, right? Aaron Rodgers is gone from Green Bay. That reign of having 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks is done, right? Jordan Love, you know, so it's hard to get 3 in a row. It is hard to get 3 great quarterbacks in a row. So maybe he will be one day, but not week 1, I'll tell you that. So I'm looking forward to the Bears getting the dub there, but it's going to be a great season. Looking forward to seeing the improvement, especially from Justin Fields. That's what everybody, not only Bears fans, but NFL fans around the league, they want to see, is Justin Fields the real deal, right? So he has a lot of pressure on him. Now it's time for him to step up, right? He's done it at every level. Now it's time to do it at this level and prove that there's a new sheriff in town and the Bears finally have their franchise QB. So next week we're going to get with the preview of, against the Pack. And we'll go through, the keys to victory. We'll go over what they do well, what the Bears have to do, how they have to start fast, and when we'll break it down. And I think we might have little partners in the podcast, right?
Yeah, we'll special guest. Yeah,
exactly. So it'll be good. We got some guys from Green Bay that break down their content that we're going to be going back and forth with, and it'll be a great show. So tune in for that for sure.
Yeah, they'll be around to answer the question of, can they get 3 in a row? Talk to a Bears fan. Can we get 1 in a row? Bear down. We'll see you soon. We'll be back. Be well.